And we're live. We're here at Rock and Roll Mine in Herkimer County, New York, where we find these Herkimer diamond crystals in the rocks. I'm Sean Adam, your host. Live at Rock and Roll Mine is brought to you by WROX. We report the rocks. WROX is brought to you by Radio Free America. Here's an area that we're finding a lot of crystals in yesterday, and it rained last night. It's been raining all morning, and we may be able to find some crystals that have been washed off by the rain here in this crystal was located in this area. Herkimer diamonds are between 350 and 500 million years old. We really don't know. But here at Rock and Roll, we find them. We don't care how old they are. Pretty cool. It rained really hard, and we've got some tailings here on the ground. So, after it rains here in Herkimer County, you can find lots of crystals everywhere on the ground, especially. We were just mining right in this area yesterday. We pulled a lot of stuff up. We moved a lot of stuff around. And because of that, there's going to be a lot of perfectly washed off little crystals. So let's check. See what we got here. I see a lot of nice shiny druze that was washed off. Just by the looks of it, I think did a pretty good job of getting a lot of these. I might see one here. Oh, that one's embedded in the rock. Here's a little piece of shiny little wet druze. All the little tiny ones get washed off when it rains. They shine really bright. I was clearing this area for a couple of hours yesterday, so there's a good chance that most of them have been located. There's a really super tiny. Oh, that might just be a rock. I think that might be a dolomite crystal. Really, most of these we got most of them. Okay, let's look down here in these tailings, see if there's anything. There's one. really clear one. Pretty small. Pretty nice. Okay, so we just arrived here. WROX, broadcasting live daily from Rock and Roll Mine, the only daily broadcast live mining Herkimer diamonds in Herkimer County. Here we are, we got this safety meeting. This is an important aspect. It's a little bit bent on the end because I just dropped it, but it is the safety meeting of the day, of the hour, I should say. The safety meeting of the hour. Now, I can see the tiniest freaking crystal right there. Can you? It is very clear and it is a little bit wet. So that's how we do that. You just pick it up with your finger. That was one tiny crystal. Those really tiny ones are just gonna be like everywhere. See, look, we got here. No safety meeting. I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, I guess we found them all. Lights up a safety meeting. Crystals appear literally all over the shelf. I'm looking now. It's like some doorway was unlocked. I'm not even exaggerating. We just got here. I scanned the area. I was like, oh, I guess we got them all. Activated the safety meeting. That's why there's protocol. You know, that's why there are protocol. You cannot convince me otherwise. Raised up. Told my whole childhood, protocol. Important stuff. Always do it the right way. It's difficult. It's not the easiest. But it always works. And if you're smart, a little bit smart. As soon as you are an adult, you can make up your own protocol. Safety meetings are the protocol. Safety meetings are the protocol. There are reasons for that. We're finding a few of them. We're finding a few of the reasons. These are small, really good. This safety meeting was also grown here on the property. These crystals were grown here, and the safety meeting was also grown here. It's illegal to grow crystals in Herkimer County. So, we have been growing crystals. We've been growing crystals in Herkimer County for 350 million years. And we ain't never gonna stop. We ain't never gonna stop growing crystals. We ain't never gonna stop growing weed. We ain't never gonna stop. What do we got under this leaf? What's under here? Anything? Something? Some of these are hard to see because they're wet. The larger ones are going to be a little bit easier to see when they're wet. But here we are, just sniping tinies. Sniping tinies. From all the way across the yard. We got one crystal. It's down here in this vog. See its face? That's stuck right in that rock. Not a lot of these were embedded in the rock under this boulder that we lifted yesterday. But the ones that are, they're really in there. And guess what? I'm not even gonna argue with them. I'm not gonna try to convince them otherwise. We're just gonna leave them where they're at. They're cozy. And let's see, maybe I think I'm seeing some little ones right here on this shelf. It's a little broken piece. I think we broke one. Yeah, or it was already broken, or I don't really know. Could have been broken. We could have broken it. Pulling up that boulder. If only a couple crystals were shattered during pulling up that giant boulder, that's pretty good. Pretty good. It would be better if none got broken, but can't always get everything perfect. That is my goal. But I don't let it get me down. I don't like breaking nice crystals, though. Okay, I'm not really seeing a whole lot. I see some smalls in here, but they're almost practically impossible to even pick up. They're so small. I have run out of lighters, and now I'm just relying on matches. So in this video, we are in 1981. I'm just using matches. Wearing my fold-up Ferrari sunglasses. I'll probably watch Miami Vice later. Here's one. Might be big enough to pick up. It's starting to rain just a little bit. Again. More raining. Not like it was earlier though, which was kind of intense. It was pretty hard rain. It's a really, really, really tiny one. Where'd it go? I don't know. It's still on the shelf somewhere. I don't know. Well, we got to see it, and then she left. Just like all my ex-girlfriends, we got to check it out for a little while and have a little fun, and then it's gone. I don't know where it's at, but it's probably shiny and pretty somewhere around town. Who knows? Let's not worry about it. Okay, so we probably have some tailings down here that we knocked off the shelf. Maybe there's a crystal or two. I don't know, I don't think so. There's a chisel. There's some glass. All right, let's get up on this level. We raked a lot of this away yesterday, and we did move a little bit of rock over here, but I don't think there's going to be anything under that. It's a piece of glass. Right here in particular, there tends to be a lot of glass. And my skills of deduction and my decades of experience as an investigative reporter tell me that there used to be a shooting gallery right there, and they'd set up their old beer bottle and walk back across the yard, shoot at it for fun. We are in America. Since it's a little wet out today, we don't have the background interference noise that we like to refer to as the soothing sounds of chainsaws. We just don't have it today because everybody's inside, they're doing other things. Now we're just looking at tailings that are not new. So that's boring and dumb. I don't even know why I'm doing that. We're gonna go back this way. towards all the wet tools. All right, we want nice, new, cute crystals. Brand new. Right, I'm really surprised that we did such a good job and got every crystal except for this one. What is that? That's some druze from a door that we broke out, or a roof, or a floor. Could be any of those. See how I just did that? Could be any of them. Just making it up. Just making it up as I go along, folks. Disclaimer. Well, I can see one or two kind of up and back in there, but I don't want to stick anything in there. Mess around with it. Because it's too small and all the sticks are wet. So I don't want to use a stick. I don't want to use copper. Because sometimes even copper is not good on little tiny crystals. Okay, well. Today may be a bit boring because I'm not going to get into any hard rock mining in the rain. Too dangerous. There's a really, really tiny crystal. When this shelf dries, I'm not going to mess with it much. When this shelf dries, I'm going to take the shop back. I'm just going to shop vac every little bit of it up. And then run it through a fine mesh screen and get all these really, really small ones. Put them in a bag of millions of tiny ones. And send them to Ian Crossman for him to work his magic and render them into jewelry, you can all gift your significant others. And everyone will be happy. Let's follow this millipede and see where does the millipede go? Where is the millipede? probably lost it already. Okay, so one thing that we were doing, well, probably there's a little tiny one. I mean, these might seem like just little pieces, but they're completely formed crystals with crazy shapes. Some of them have twins, some of them are clusters, just that small, way down, all the way to a level that we can't even imagine. They're so small. And that is why I will, in some cases, just shop vac the hell out of the whole area. And I'll use the plastic tip of the shop vac to get some of them up off the floor and dislodge them from their spots. You can do things with that plastic that I just won't do with metal. So it's pretty cool. It works out good. It pulls up also all these cool little Drew's pieces. This one is wet, but when it dries, it will look like a million stars. So then all that's in the shop vac. And then when the shop vac is like halfway full or something like that, then I kind of just screen all of it. But I only do that for a nice shelf, like, say for instance this one is good. Okay, so we have this thing here that I don't think we're gonna have to do too much hard rock mining to get into. So maybe we'll mess around with this. Let's check it out. There could be a giant crystal in here. There's plenty of space. It might be smooshed on the floor. Quite a bit of space in there. And mud. And it was already mud, even before it rained. Sometimes it can be helpful for it to be a little muddy, and you can squish it around and liquefy it and get it out of some areas. Who knows what that is? I'm not going to mess with it too much. This could also just be some crazy waterway that was just pushing water around inside of it. Could be anything. Life at this point. Can we see anything? Oh, we can see everything. Good. Good. do what I wanted it to do, of course. You might not have much more room than that. Maybe it goes, yeah, it stops there. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it goes over this way a little bit. It's pretty low. Travels for a little bit though. That's not gonna do what I wanted to do. No going to that. This may just be a relatively empty bulb. Yes, I'm just doing tappity taps for a reason. Taps. Tappity taps. Maybe here's the reason. When we come over here, let's see. Tappity taps. Why tappity taps? Little tiny little tap, tap, tap. Because you can just sneak right up on them, you know, even though you're banging it. They can sneak up on you too, broken. And then you're like, oh shit. Man, those would have been cool. They could have been really nice. That's what people who break crystals say in their videos. Look how nice that would have been. Just this little freaking pearl in a clamshell. One little iron-coated, perfect crystal just sitting in there. If you smash and smash, boom, busted. You're busted. This one's perfect. It's this tiny, pretty small bug. Only one in there. It's just right on that edge. Yep. So this one was in there. Let's check it out. See if it gets some of this rust off of it. Give it a glow up, see what it really looks like. What does it really shine like? That looks like a little blemish on the crystal face, but it's actually a little bubble that's inside the crystal. Show it to you in a second. Just 3 seconds. All right, let's check it out. See if we can find it. Some kind of a bubble or a negative crystal in there. Right on the front. It's so small I can't tell if it's some kind of anhydro fluid chamber. I can't tell. It's too small. There seems to maybe be like a piece of carbon or something in there. Might be able to get that to do a thing. I'd have to look at it with a loupe, figure it out. Yeah, that's definitely not on the face. It's just below the face. Little tiny, just sitting in a Vogue. That's what it looks like from the back. Look at it from the back. Look at it from the front. You can still see it. You can see that little carbon piece in there. Maybe 2 of them. I don't know. It might be just refracting. So maybe it's just one. I think it's just one. It's doing something crazy, man. I don't know. We only have so much of a science lab here. It's just in my brain, and it's limited. I don't have all the instruments. I only have one. I have access to the supercomputer. We talked about that the other day. But the carbon footprint and the cost of the supercomputer, running that supercomputer, is just too high. If I even talk about it, I lose subscribers. So we're not going to talk about the cost of the rock and roll supercomputer. All right, so let's see. I'm trying to find an angle where maybe it can be seen. You can probably see better than I can because I'm looking at an iPhone. All right, but anyway. That's a good one. Let's continue. Everything is mud. My name is Mud. Maybe there's more in here. I don't think so, though. A small piece of druze. Nope, just that one. Oh wait, there's one more tiny in there. be too dirty. It was perfect, and then you touch it, and then it's gone in the mud. That's why the mud is not the best. Okay, there it is. There it is. Just drug that out from the back. This tiny ass little thing. Okay, everyone. Here's a really, really small twin, I think. Might be. Oops. Oops. Little percher. Tiny. Tiny. Okay, micros. That's what we're finding over here. I think I'm going to take a moment to read some comments. I don't think I've done that yet. I don't believe I have done that. Maybe I can get a cool view while I do that. This is what the underside of a boulder looks like. Okay, first of all, let's do a roll call. Don Smith is here. Don is here. Steve is here. Hi, Steve. Protocol, Don. Perspective, exactly. Perspective is an important aspect of protocol. To adjust your perspective to everything else, so that you are on the right side of history. Okay, tinies, tinies, tinies. Steve, soon we will have this jewelry. We've been designing it for months, and we finally have our designs, and everything is ready, steady, and we're countdown to go. So I have had to collect a lot of crystals. And I will certainly be posting it to the Etsy, but we will have a website that will be specific to the jewelry collaboration. 3 people are collaborating. The foundational collaborator would be myself, having the mine and the crystals material, and then half of the material gets sent to our cut master in the Carolinas. I can never remember which one, north or south, so they're just the Carolinas. I never have ever been able to get those two right. I don't know. Is Asheville in North Carolina? Is it in South Carolina? I do not know. I don't know. Asheville. We send some of the stuff to Asheville to our cut master, Nick, who is a genius. And he cut some of them into fancy, brilliant gemstones. And the other half, the natural stones that have natural facets that we're going to just use as natural gemstones, I send the cut gemstones from Asheville and the natural gemstones from Rock and Roll to Senior Ian Grossman in Maine. At Pine Tree Relics. And he is the master of the gold and the silver and various other metallic substances that we don't use for our project, but we are using gold and silver and he, along with myself, we have designed, I don't know, 6 pieces of jewelry. And it has taken 6 months. So we are in the final stages of that process. And it just takes a long time to find a lot of these that are actually perfect when you look at them with a loupe. These, and smaller than these, actually. Those and smaller. And some people might wonder, why on earth does Sean collect so many tiny crystals? It's because we need 10,000 of them, and they have to be perfect, all 10,000. 100,000. 1 million. No, we're not being greedy. It just, when I'm finding these small ones for the jewelry, and then we're looking at them in loupe, they have have to be flawless, and they have to be straight out the pocket. They gotta be right out of the pocket. They gotta be right out of the vugs. That's why this scenario that we're in right now, I hit the brakes. And you know what? I camp on the spot. And then I'm gonna get a shop vac. I'm gonna shop vac all these motherfuckers right out. That's one of those little brownies. That's from the bug that we found yesterday with all the crazy clusters. And if you would like to see those, you should watch yesterday's live. You know, you can zoom through it. If you want to see how I got into this area and stuff, you can watch it. But you can zoom through it. I didn't chapter that one yet, but just zoom through it. And you can see these really cool clusters and some scepters. Maybe you were here. Maybe you saw it in real time. If you did, that's lucky, because I'm sure you sat through a lot of hours of not finding cool clusters and scepters. But heads up, spoiler alert, we found a lot of crystals in yesterday's live. And there were 2 lives because the mountain disrupted our laser beam broadcast transmission, station to station, as David Bowie might say. Station to station. Disruption. What are we doing? We're looking for crystals. Where are we? In Herkimer County, New York, USA. For those of you who are just tuning in to tune out, you can do that here. It's fine. We don't mind. Here are 2 of the tiniest freaking things. Oh, here's one of the tiniest things. We just lost its friend. They were together forever. And here's its friend. Just found it again. Can you believe it? I can't. But it's okay, because things like that don't require belief. They just are. Some people, sometimes they say, I can't believe it. And I say, it's okay. That doesn't matter. And then they're quickly offended. And then I say, it's okay. That doesn't matter either. And then they just leave town. In their mind. Here's some carbon. This is dead dinosaurs turned into a brick of chunky stuff. It's like 350 million year old plant life and bones and snakes and lizards and more bones. It's mostly bones. Yeah, it's bones. Yep. At some point, it all became bones. All right, well, we're just hanging out on this shelf, just looking for the tiniest crystals ever, and I don't know how I got this job, but at WROX, they've entrusted me to find all of the crystals on this mountain. And it's like a bad episode of Survivor. No one's gonna win $1 million. I had known that when I started this gig, I wouldn't have thought that $1,000 and a box of donuts was a very good deal. Susan at headquarters, she told me that it was a donut sponsorship. Now, for those of you who are not new to the channel, this is old news. We know, we all know. Fuck Susan. Not Susan, our friend, who comes and hangs out in the chats. That's not Susan from headquarters. That's a different Susan. They just happen to have the same name. And that's unfortunate for Susan Bab, because we like Susan. She's very nice. She is very nice. She is, you know what, if anything, our friend Susan, who comes and hangs out in the chat, she gives me hope for all Susans, okay? She gives me hope for Susan at headquarters. Maybe she'll take some social cues from our friend Susan. And maybe we should introduce Susan to Susan, and then they can see, like, look, Susan, I don't even know what, she's just Susan from headquarters. I don't even know what her last name is because I don't like her. I just have a mental block on it. I'll have to find out one day. But listen, just know that we're not quarters. Can fuck herself though, because there's a huge difference between, how do we get that out of there? Come on, let's go. There's a huge difference between, wait, is that it? I don't know, but that's a tiny crystal. There's a huge difference between a sponsorship and a box of donuts. And I know the difference. I think we all know the difference. All right, well, it's raining. I think this ant knows it. I'm just gonna try to not pay that much attention to it. Here are some crystals that I kind of put in here because I was like, oh, sometimes I just keep rocks and it doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm like, why did I keep that? I don't know. See, there's a rock. Why is that? That's just a rock? Yes, it is just a rock. All right. Well, here are some crystals that I threw into this thing, and this is the not so beautiful crystals thing. Like broken ones or chunks, things I find in the tailings floating around, being abused by nature. Here's a crystal that came off of this shelf that we're working on, that I just stepped on 23 times, but it was in the mud. So there we go. There's one. Okay. Let's see what we got in here. Some pretty small ones. I don't know what that is. Maybe just a piece on matrix or something. Yeah, I think it is. Nope, maybe not. I don't know what that is. That should probably go in this other thing to soak some of that stuff off there. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Put a bunch of freaking Drews and Matrix in here. That's against the rules. I don't know why I did that. It's supposed to be beautiful things only in the crystal tube. That's the plan. So like, what is that? That goes over here. All right, there we go. Just a few from today. In the crystal tube. Okay, Chunky, get in there. We get it, you're chunky. Get in there. Do you ever have to push a fat girl through the fence? Like when you're trying to get away from the cops because she was naked and in a cemetery. No? Oh, fuck. You should try it. Talking to you, ladies. Who's this? A puma. She is definitely trying to kill something, but she doesn't know quite what it is yet. It's probably a friggin' chipmunk. She knows it's against the rules. She's probably gonna try to do it anyway. Okay, this is where we took a chunky boulder square out of yesterday. We just carved it right out of there. All right. This is a pond that I'm digging. And this is kind of like where the spring comes down. So we took that chunk out. And now tomorrow probably, we're gonna get under this and or maybe actually we'll have to take this one out first and then get behind it and take that one out. I want to get it up closer to the mountain so the water because the water comes down the mountain, but then it has to travel across and then down, and a lot of the water gets lost in this area. So I'm going to delete that area. I'm just going to take it right back up to the mountain. So it'll just send it right into the pond. And not only that, the way that all this is looking, we want to get in this and we want to get all the crystals out of all of this. And it kind of does a thing where it's going like this with all these bugs. And so we're going to get under there. We're going to continue that. We're going to figure out what the hell's going on here. We're going to follow its pattern. We're going to get all the crystals. We're going to put them in our pocket and probably eat a few donuts, have a hamburger, maybe a cup of coffee along the way. And you can see right there where the green stops, and this line is just straight rock. That's where we deleted this boulder from right there. As soon as we get across here, right, and take all that out, as we do oft times, then we'll come back and we'll take this layer and we're just gonna find crystals in this. But this is a fat, chunky layer of chunky boulders of this size and of this size, because all these are the one, we're just doing a line. We're just continuing we've been doing this. We ain't new. See, I'm just taking, you can see, like, you don't see a lot of broken up, weird, ball-shaped, whack-ass shit. Okay, I take these out in squares, and I take them out. And then, you know why? Because that's how much of a boulder I can punch in the face and have it do what I want it to do. And then I can move it around by myself. I don't need to have anybody else around fucking with my shit. Do it by myself. Touching stuff. People just touch things and then it just gets on my nerves. Why'd you touch that? Don't touch that. You don't know what you're doing. You might know what you're doing on your thing. That's cool. I don't know what I'm doing on your thing. I don't know what I'm doing there. On this thing, I know what I'm doing. You know, I don't want to explain it to other people, except for you guys, because we're friends. So, this is all top secret information, by the way. Everybody on this channel, just by being on this channel, boom, you already signed an NDA. You already, non-disclosure agreement. Everybody knows that. So, we don't want your information. We want your information. We signed a non-disclosure agreement about you guys too, just by you guys being on this channel. Boom, you logged in, NDA signed. Everybody signed it. Okay, here we go. So we're talking about blocks of information. See him in there? Blocks. Just pockets and blocks. Yep. All right, so I didn't go to school for this shit. I'm just making it up as I go along. Just negotiating with this situation. Situation just happens to be a mountain. So we started way over here, and I'm standing on these blocks that were shaped and removed. So you can see there's a consistency to this. It's not just some crazy stuff. It's not just fucking random. It's not winning the lottery when you find a pocket. There's probably a pocket back there because it won't let me get in there. It's all roundy like that. Well, that's, don't forget pockets are circular. Or whatever they are. They have all these different sides. Whatever. It's a fucking bubble in the earth. Somehow that happens, I don't know. Just got all these blocks, and then sometimes where it gets lithified, the rock becomes really, really dense. Like after I hit a pocket, it's really hard to break out the areas like around the pocket because it's really, really hard rock. Because the crystal sometimes is like pseudomorphed in that rock or something. I don't know what the fuck happens. Some science shit goes on. Here are the crystals that we find here. When we're not just finding a bunch of little tiny ones. So this is what we're looking for. These are the ones that we want. We want them all, but these are the goal. Here's a nice one that has kind of a cathedral where it has a couple of points. It's got some complex stuff going on with these faces. It's double terminated with 1 point on one side. It's a really, really perfect point, and 2 points on the other side with all this kind of crazy cathedral. It's not skeletal, because it's just not skeletal, but it's like a cathedral pattern. That's what they call that. And this is a touch mark where it was touching the ground, and this really, really gemmy one was like a kickstand. So it was actually like this when I found it in the Vogue. And it was kind of being held up by this. It just created itself a kickstand. So that's pretty cool. It's a little bit dirty. Here are these faces. There's actually 3 faces, or 3 points, I should say. There's a point here, one here, and one here. So you can see that it has those 3 faces there. And then it has these 3 points here. So that's a cool one. They really don't come out as clear as they are on this camera. When they're far away, they start refracting too much light. You can see how clear they are close, though. That has some iron inclusion. And some smoke. It's a flat tab. It was kind of squished between the floor, the roof and the floor. Squish like that. Really perfect tips on these. See that touch mark where the rock was just touching it? Kind of rehealed itself. Still has some shiny face in there. The rock was just touching it a little bit. And that's how it grew. WROX is brought to you by Radio Free America. Live at Rock and Roll is a production of WROX News 99, a broadcast on television, radio, and ham radio, and the internet. We produce low quality shows on cheap equipment about stuff. Tune in next time for Live at Rock and Roll where we find Herkimer diamonds daily, live at noon for Noontime Nuggets. I'm Sean Adam, your host, live at Rock and Roll Mine in Herkimer County. 10-4, good buddies. Be safe out there.